Good Wednesday morning. Today I want to focus on the severe weather threat over the next 2 days for the south central southeast states. Talk about the dynamics behind how these storms will form. Not too major today. Tomorrow could be a moderate to severe outbreak. Nothing monumental, but there should be some tornadoes. And then we'll take a look at the weather pattern next week. It's going to get colder again, unfortunately, and I'm going to be focusing on this area up here. I think we'll see some snow up here. So not our area. It's going to get colder, but, you know, hey, get a little skiing in, like I keep saying. I really hope that happens. So we'll see what happens there. Let's start off with the severe weather threat we're focusing on today. Okay, so what we have here is, this is today at 2 p.m. We have a low pressure center right here that's lifting through, and along it's bringing along a little bit of a cold front here, as you can see. Okay. So taking a look here, this is at 2 p.m. today. Okay, we have a cold front also. This is something called convective available potential energy. It basically shows you how, I'll just call it a molecule, but it's really a parcel of air, how much potential it has to rise up in the atmosphere. So it really says the air is, the molecule of air is warmer than the environment around it. So warm air rises. So where these values are high, it's showing you there's a lot of ability for air to rise. When air rises, it condenses, it causes storm clouds in it, and thunderstorms. That's one component. Okay, that's today at 2 o'clock. In addition to that, here's the jet stream. So we have winds that are coming across this way over the region. Okay, we have a south-westerly wind as shown by the jet stream here. Okay, in addition to that, we have low-level winds coming from this direction here. Okay, so that's called a wind shear. All right, so winds coming from two different directions. Okay, we have air that's warm at the surface, wants to rise. Okay, and in addition to that, we have to look at something that's called the sounding. Now this is pretty interesting. It looks extremely complicated, but it's really not at all. This shows basically how air moves throughout the atmosphere. So I'll give you an example. Okay, so this is today at, let's say, okay, today at 11 a.m. This line here is the temperature of the air at different levels of the atmosphere. So the higher up you go, the higher up in the atmosphere you go. So here's the surface, okay? The diagonal lines are the temperature of the air. So this black line starting here, it's saying it's okay, the air is just above 20 degrees Celsius here. So the air is warmer here than it is, say, 5,000 feet above it. So that means the air is going to rise in this column here. However, when we get to 700, 800 millibars, notice the air is warmer up here. So warm air rises, it runs into warmer air, it can't rise anymore. That's something called a cap, meaning it's going to prevent thunderstorms from forming. Now, when you're looking at if storms are going to form, the question is, will this cap blow off? I mean, will something move this air, and will this air get colder so the air continues to rise? And in this case today, that will happen a little later, but by, say, 5 o'clock, notice here's the warmer air at the surface, colder air aloft. This allows all this air to rise. Okay, when air rises, it forms clouds, and then from there, you get your thunderstorms. So that's what's going to happen today. So I'd say moderate risk of severe weather today down in that region, based on what I'm looking at. But then we have to look at tomorrow. Tomorrow's a little more interesting because we have a little bit of a stronger jet. So by the time we get into tomorrow, at say 2, 3 o'clock, or say 2 to 5 o'clock, again we have another severe weather outbreak now focused on this area, and you can see the model is trying to show you thunderstorms developing along this front. Taking a look at the dynamics again, unstable air as shown here. Okay. Also, here's our jet stream. We have winds coming across like this. We have low-level winds sort of contradicting that. And again, taking a look at that sounding, here's tomorrow morning again. You can see that warm air is above the low-level air, but then that warm air leaves and there's allowed to be convection here and produce storms tomorrow. So that's a little complicated, but I want to try to simplify it a little bit for you guys. Basically, all you have to know is when air is warmer at the surface and it's allowed to rise and it doesn't run into warmer air above it, that produces thunderstorms. In addition to that, you need a strong jet stream, you need a wind shear, which is basically winds coming from an opposite direction at a lower level, and you get rotating thunderstorms. And that's what we're going to see over the next 2 days. Not a very severe outbreak, but you're going to see severe weather. Taking a look now at the longer term pattern I've been talking about next week. So here's a little system that comes through this weekend. It's going to bring down a trough into the eastern third of the country, and a storm should develop somewhere in the eastern third. We have a supporting ridge in the west. We have a little bit of a block, but nothing crazy. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to see a storm that's going to develop here. It's going to run up over our area, redevelop here, and give interior snows to New England in the middle of next week. I don't think we're going to see any snow, but it's still a winter-like pattern because it's April. And then from there, it looks like we're going to have a little bit of relief and go back to spring for most of the rest of April. Maybe a cold shot here or there, but it looks like we're out of the woods after Wednesday of next week. So that's the good news. If the severe weather that materializes more by tomorrow, I'll have more information, but just wanted to update you on that. Thanks for checking in.